from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Right now in GMSA, a woman is hospitalized after being shot 3 times. What we know about this, what we know about who pulled the trigger this morning.
I originally thought it was an airplane, whoosh, and then an explosion.
Plus, fire investigators in Shirts are trying to answer one big question. How did this happen? What neighbors told KSAT. And a man on death row has more time to plead his case, why he says he's innocent, and the precedent this could set. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
6 a.m. on your Sunday, October 12th. Hey, did the Aggies win last night?
They definitely did. They beat Florida. Yes,
Texas,
pretty awesome.
UT won, A&M won.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at peace this morning. Now we just need the Cowboys to win at noon today.
We'll see what happens. They're playing the Panthers, so it'll be interesting. Okay, so first I want to take a look at temperatures not only here in San Antonio but across the nation, because we are dealing with an area of cooler weather up to the northwest or the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures are only in the 40s this morning, but it's 66 here in San Antonio, just as cool in San Antonio as it is in Wichita, Kansas, which isn't always the case this time of year. Pretty warm for Wichita to be in the mid 60s in the middle of October. We're at 60 degrees in Kerrville, 64 in New Braunfels. Good morning, Uvalde at 62 degrees, 61 in Pleasanton, 64 in Gonzales. Here's a look at the forecast today. It should look very similar to the last couple of days. We're going to be sunny, high of 91. By noon, it'll be in the mid 80s. All right, so this week is going to be characterized by cool mornings, hot afternoons, and dry weather. No rain and also low humidity. But there is a cool front possible soon. Again, more and more data is showing up to support a cool front soon. We'll talk about that. And it is a very busy day across the United States for weather. We've got snow, flooding, and a gusty nor'easter. I'm going to have details on this, and I'll start with our potential cool front coming up in just a bit.
Sarah, thank you. New this morning, one woman is in the hospital after being shot inside her car at a parking lot. So according to San Antonio police, a group of friends met up at a parking lot on Desavala Road around 3 o'clock in the morning. That's just half a mile away from Clark High School. 2 of them, a male and female, started fighting. The male then shot at the car that the woman was sitting inside of, hitting her 3 times, once in the arm, elbow, and hand, before that suspect ran away. Another woman who was inside the car at the time was not hurt. The woman who was shot was taken to the hospital, and she is expected to be okay. And a man accused of killing another outside of a West Side business has been arrested. So on your screen here is 40-year-old Ricardo Heyman. According to an arrest affidavit, Heyman got into an argument with another man at a gas station Thursday night along Old Highway 90 and South Acme Road on the far west side. That man, Ricardo Contreras, was dating Heyman's ex-girlfriend. The woman tried to separate the two when Heyman pulled out a gun and shot Contreras multiple times. Contreras was found dead at the scene by police. Heyman was booked into the Bexar County Jail for murder. Well, fire investigators in Shirts are still trying to find what caused a home to go up in flames. So neighbors say they heard or felt an explosion just as that fire broke out at the home on Mitchell Avenue that's not far from Shirts Parkway. This happened after 10 o'clock Friday morning. A woman who lives there was still inside the home at the time. Neighbors ran to her rescue before firefighters arrived and helped her out of harm's way.
The whole front of the house was blown off, and I was moving the window frames and the glass and stuff so we could get her down out of the house.
So according to neighbors, the woman rescued from the home appeared to have cuts and serious burns. She was rushed to the hospital. So far, there has been no official update on her condition. And a man accused of causing a hit-and-run crash with a motorcyclist has been arrested. So on your screen here is 33-year-old Kenneth Gleason. That crash happened Friday around 5 p.m. According to San Antonio police, that motorcyclist was hit after a white Buick tried to move into his lane to get around slow traffic. Police add the Buick sped away from the scene. Gleason is now charged with collision involving injury. And the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has granted a stay of execution to death row inmate Robert Robertson. He's long claimed he's innocent in the murder of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki Curtis. The court said his conviction, based on diagnosis of shaken baby syndrome, was flawed. The ruling halts Roberson's execution. It was set to take place this coming Thursday. His attorneys have said it would be the first in the U.S. based on the allegation of shaken baby syndrome. The stay comes after the appeals court granted a new trial last year to a man who was convicted based on a similar shaken baby syndrome allegation. Well, it has now been nearly 2 weeks since the government shutdown started, and it's now officially impacting the paychecks of millions of Americans. With federal workers getting only a partial paycheck this past Friday, unlike the vast majority of federal workers, members of Congress continue to get paid through the shutdown. On a path to ending it, Democrats are placing blame on House Speaker Mike Johnson's decision to send Republican representatives home. Democrats insist on passing a bill that restores Republican cuts to Medicaid and extends Obamacare subsidies, something Republicans say should be debated after the government reopens. The next time the Senate will be in session is this Tuesday. An appeals court has ruled that the Texas National Guard troops cannot be deployed. So around 500 Guard members from Texas and Illinois were sent to a U.S. Army Reserve Center in that state. So President Donald Trump has been pushing to send the Guard to several U.S. cities, claiming that crime is up and rampant. The troops that have been sent to the area can stay in Illinois, but cannot be deployed to protect federal property or go on patrol, at least for now. Now to the latest on the expected release of Israeli hostages. Family members eagerly awaiting their return as that deadline approaches. It comes as aid is expected to start arriving in Gaza in large numbers, and Palestinians return to their homes, most of which have been destroyed during the 2-year war. President Trump is preparing to visit the region, where he's expected to meet with Israeli officials and host a summit of world leaders in Egypt tomorrow. 607 and 67 degrees. Still to come on GMSA, we are almost 1 week away from early voting. What you need to know about some of the biggest items on the ballot. Plus, safety concerns for the camps hit by the Hill Country floods, what those who run them are now saying about the upgrades they're making. But next, why a group of moms created the first ever fentanyl awareness walk.
And it's another cool and comfortable morning out there in the 60s. But just like yesterday, we're going to be warming up to the 90s. The good news, the cool front. Next cool front's coming into clearer picture. I'll have those details coming up.
Take a quick look at the roads outside with TransGuide 281 at Quarry. Everything looking smooth there. You know, sun's not up yet, so maybe not a lot of you out and about yet, just watching us with your morning coffee. Well, when you get ready to head out the door, we will keep you up prepared. Look, there's some traffic at Loop 1604 and Hardy Oak Boulevard with a closure there. Not seeing any other major incidents though. We'll be right back. Well, last night, thousands of lanterns lit up the Rock at La Cantera as part of Light the Night. It's a night supporting those with blood cancer and their families. A remembrance ceremony occurred at 6:30, followed by a lantern-filled walk. Each participant carries a colored lantern, white for survivors of blood cancer, red for supporters, and gold and in memory of a lost loved one.
It gives me hope for, the community, for whether someone just got diagnosed or they lost a loved one, that they're not alone, that there's someone there to help them along the way.
So Light the Night is put on by Blood Cancer United, an organization dedicated to helping blood cancer patients fight and win their battles. So that QR code on your corner of your screen there, you can go ahead and scan it to learn more about what they do on KSAT.com. Well, they lost their own children, and that's why they want to save others. It's a group of moms created the first ever fentanyl awareness walk in Texas a few years ago, and today is the 3rd annual Souls Walking for Souls event, not just honoring lives lost, but packed with education for all families. Courtney Friedman will MC the event and spoke to some of the angel moms about why they hope the community will join them.
Braden was 21. He had just turned 21 when we lost him in July 18th of 2020. So loved music, loved gaming, loved his Mustang, his family.
Jake Ryan was poisoned in April 30th, 2021. He was a wonderful person. I miss him.
We found out it was oxy that was laced with fentanyl, so it was truly one pill that killed him.
He started struggling with anxiety, and he asked a friend for something, and they gave him an oxy, just one pill.
The story's tragically similar for these angel moms. Nikki Goals losing her son and Martha Johnson losing her grandson.
We didn't even know what fentanyl was. I've never heard of it.
That's why these women joined other angel moms, vowing to prevent these deaths from happening. They created Souls Walking for Souls, the first ever fentanyl awareness walk in Texas. Now in its third year, the event has exploded. Hundreds show up not just to honor lives, but hear from people in the highest offices in the city, county, and state.
It's about learning more about fentanyl. It's about learning more about what's coming down the drug pipeline. It's about how to save a life.
Parents take life-saving information home with them.
They need to speak to their kids and not feel they're too young. It's so sad, but like 10 years old up, they need to know that there's something out there that is poison, and for them not to take anything from anyone. And it's in vape, it's in pot, it's in everything.
They will also have free Narcan at the event. This is the nose spray medication that reverses an opioid overdose or poisoning, and they'll be teaching us how to use it. I'll be emceeing the event on Sunday, so I hope to see you there. From the newsroom, Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Courtney, thank you so much. All right, 67 degrees, Sarah. It feels nice for now outside.
Yeah, even yesterday when it was at its hottest, it really wasn't that bad in the shade. But that's the key. You got to find some shade because it is going to be hot. Now, usually around this time of year, we're starting to see temperatures fall. Take a look at the average high across the year. That's the Weather Center there. You can see my beautiful chair. They're going to turn the camera to the green screen. There we go. And you can see the average high over a year peaks in August with an average high of 97, but here we are. We usually see an average high right now at about 84, and temperatures start to really come down around this time of year. But over the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at highs well above average. Take a look at this. Throughout the entire week, our highs are going to be hovering right near 90 degrees. That's at least 5 degrees above the average. But I've been combing through the data, and it does appear that sometime perhaps on October 19th, that's next Sunday, we could get our first major cool front of the season. Right now I've got forecast highs in the 80s, but 70s will be possible. Highs in the 70s will be possible if that front ends up being a little bit stronger. And so we've got to wait and see how strong that front actually is. And the timing might shift as well. So we'll keep you posted on that. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that a cool front is on the horizon. We just have to get through this week of pretty hot temperatures. And we'll start off in the 60s like we're doing right now. It's 66 in San Antonio, but only 59 in Bandera. Good morning, Bernie. It's 57 degrees, 65 in Seguin. 59 in Hondo and 62 in Uvalde. So a cool and comfortable morning for us, but we're going to see nothing but sunny skies today. Sunny skies and quickly rising temperatures. By noon, it'll be 84, and in the afternoon, 91 for the forecast high in San Antonio. Again, that's about 6 degrees above the average. It'll be a quiet evening for us too, with temperatures falling into the 80s after sunset. 92 in New Braunfels, 91 in Bandera, 91 in Castroville, 92 in Floresville, and in the upper 80s up in the hill country. So it's going to be hot here in San Antonio, but look how the heat extends all the way up into the Dakotas. This area is really under a high pressure. That's why we are seeing that heat extend all the way up to the Central Plains. But take a look at what we've got going on across the nation. It is busy across the nation. First of all, we've got Pacific moisture coming in from the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Raymond. That's bringing El Paso and West Texas some very much needed rain. That area is in as bad of a drought as we are here in San Antonio. We're not going to see any rain though again because that high is going to really maintain its strength this week. Meanwhile, there's actually some snow ongoing across parts of the northern Rockies, Montana, down to Wyoming and Idaho. Many of those areas under winter advisories. So while we're in the 90s rather, they are enjoying some wintry weather. And then finally, there's a low pressure system off of the coast of the Carolinas, and this is going to become a nor'easter. Many of us hear about nor'easters in Texas, but maybe don't know what those are. They are storms. The direction of the wind comes from the northeast. That's why it's called nor'easters, and they can bring damaging wind gusts, lots of rain, perhaps even some wintry weather. So coming up in the next half hour, we'll talk a little bit about that nor'easter for parts of the United States. But as I mentioned, here in San Antonio, we are pretty much just going to be status quo through the next couple of days. Mornings in the 60s, afternoons near 90s. You'll notice that I did include a rain chance though with that front. That's still one of the things we're watching, but I have included a rain chance, about 30% chance for a few showers and storms with that front next Sunday. But hey, Sarah, at least we can put a front on that forecast because it has been a while since we've been able to talk about any change.
Absolutely. A little bit of hope there.
A little bit. We'll have to wait and see. Continue to be posted with us.
I love when we see something like a potential high of 85. We considered it a fall cool front.
I know. Oh, by the way, yes, high of 85, but the mornings is where we could really feel the effect of that front. I'll have that morning low forecast coming up.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, 622, 67 degrees coming up on GMSA. He's called a haircut hero. How he needs your help to reach a goal, excuse me, he had to give back to the community.
So we have a huge project before the city of San Antonio and Bexar County, big election coming up. We wanted to come to you and ask a lot of the questions that our viewers are asking.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with the one we are getting most often.
Sure.
Why can't the Spurs pay for a new arena all by themselves? Why do you need public dollars to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question and a couple answers to that.
Ooh, what a cliffhanger. I need to know the answer. Well, you asked, and we got your answers for you. Our Myra Arthur took KSAT viewer questions to Spurs owner Peter Holt. Scan that QR code on your screen to hear those answers now. You can find the full conversation on KSAT.com. 626, 67 degrees still to come on GMSA when 3 former San Antonio police officers are expected back in court. And the latest on how this case has played out so far. Good morning. It is 6:30 on your Sunday. It is October 12th. Thank you so much for waking up with us. Hopefully you're having maybe some hot coffee this morning.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty comfy this morning outside. Hey, by the way, I sent you a picture yesterday of my baby Everett enjoying the weather outside, and Sarah texts me, she goes, "Isn't he hot?" And you know
well,
what?
because it was like in the afternoon.
Yeah, but it was in the shade. He was wearing some light clothing.
You know, it does make a difference. We've had this low humidity.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, I guess okay, fall.
Yeah.
I see you a little bit.
Yeah, at least it feels okay in the shade. We're waking up with temperatures in the 50s in the hill country, 55 in Comfort and in Bernie, but it's in the mid 60s around San Antonio. It is 60 degrees though in Pleasanton, 61 in Floresville. Good morning, New Braunfels at 63. Here's that low humidity that we've been talking about. Dew points pleasant and in the 50s here in San Antonio. And throughout the rest of the day today, we're going to see dew points in the 40s and 50s. So nice and comfortable, but it will be warm. So yeah, if you're going to be outside, be in the shade. 91 in San Antonio, 92 in New Braunfels, 93 in Del Rio, upper 80s in the hill country this afternoon. So that forecast is pretty much going to be for our week. Cool mornings, hot afternoons, and no rain. So dry weather, but cool front is possible. I'm seeing more and more data that supports a cool front. We'll start with that, and then I want to talk about the rest of the nation. There's snow, flooding, and even a nor'easter to talk about across the nation. I'll have details on that cool front coming up in a bit.
Sarah, thank you. The state's new safety rules threaten to shut down summer camps across Texas next summer. Camp owners told regulators that these sweeping safety rules meant to prevent another July 4th disaster will force many Texas youth camps to close due to the high cost of complying. So the regulations hike overnight camp licensing fees from $750 to $11,000. The licensing fees for day camps would increase from $250 to as high as $3,200. Now, families of victims from Camp Mystic, where 27 people died in the July 4th flood, say safety must come first, even if it's costly. The rules will take effect on January 1st, and all camps must comply in order to open in 2026. Meantime, there's still ways for the community to support the Hill Country in their recovery efforts, like the Hope for Hunt concert. It will be held at Pure Country Barbecue and Grill in Bernie, October 18th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. General entry tickets are $80 and kids under 12 are free. Headliners will be Thompson Square Jr., the Herrera Band, and more. Only about 100 tickets have been sold. You can read about who this proceeds will benefit in Hunt on KSAT.com. Well, the impact of the government shutdown is already being felt by military members in Texas. One food pantry in Fort Hood saw the number of service members coming out to get some to go. It went up by an all-time record of 34% since the shutdown started, and all the food ran out by mid-morning, leaving some service members to wonder about their future.
We've come a couple times before, but we haven't felt the actual need to come until the government shut down.
When you're thinking about you might also lose a paycheck on top of already living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even making it to paycheck without needing help, you can imagine the anxiety.
So the Armed Forces wants service members to know this kind of support is there. USAA is offering no-interest loans to affected members, and the Sheriff's Office says it is fast-tracking hiring. And there are several other groups stepping up to help and provide resources. So you can scan that QR code you see on your screen, take you to a direct list of resources to help federal workers. In the meantime, however, as the federal government shutdown is entering a second week, the Trump administration says it has figured out a workaround to help about 7 million Americans who rely on food assistance program called WIC. They want to use money generated by the trade tariffs to help fund it. WIC provides food assistance to pregnant women, new moms, and young children in need. However, the idea could hit a roadblock. Tariff money goes into a general fund managed by the Treasury Department. That fund and all tariff revenue is essentially frozen until Congress passes a funding bill and reopens the government. Well, tomorrow, the trial against 3 former San Antonio police officers who are said to have shot and killed a woman in 2023 is expected to continue. So Nathaniel Villalobos, Alfred Flores, and Elizar Alejandro are on trial for the death of Melissa Pettis back in June of 2023. Now, Pettis was having a mental health crisis when the 3 officers arrived to her apartment complex. Reports say she was swinging a hammer at the officers as they tried to go into her apartment. The defense argued the officers' lives were at risk when Pettis was swinging the hammer, but prosecutors argued the officers didn't have a warrant to go into her home and that they didn't follow protocols, saying Pettis had every right to protect herself.
None of those 15 officers thought that after 78 correction, 2 hours and 30 minutes, no one thought about doing the constitutionally mandated thing of going to a neutral and detached magistrate and getting a warrant to breach Ms. Perez's home. It wasn't a consideration.
They did what they had to do to go home to their families. The same thing every officer does, and the same thing every officer promises. And at the end of this trial, you're going to see that all of that is true.
This case could set precedent on how officers here in San Antonio and other cities are trained. Villalobos is facing up to 20 years in prison, while Flores and Alejandro face up to life in prison if they're convicted. Again, this trial resumes Monday morning. You can watch it live on KSAT Plus and on KSAT.com. Well, after nearly 20 years of military service, this retired Marine, Keith Harris, is still finding ways to provide service by giving free haircuts to those in need. So we told you about him 2 months ago because his trailer turned mobile barbershop was stolen. Well, as of now, no update on that trailer, but a military organization and a fellow barber are making sure Keith can continue his mission.
When you give someone a haircut, it changes their whole day. You know, you take like 10 years off people, you know, especially if you cut real good.
Look good, feel good. Keith Harris provides veterans like himself, people experiencing homelessness, and children in single-parent homes, haircuts at no cost.
I've been in that position before, you know, like coming up and not having enough money to get your hair cut, you know, and trying to figure out who's going to cut your hair.
We spoke to Keith back in August because his trailer that he spent countless hours and thousands of dollars turning into his mobile barbershop was stolen from a storage facility.
My stomach just dropped. I was like, there's no way somebody took this mobile barbershop out of this facility with all the cameras and stuff that's here.
The story of a veteran being stripped of his way of giving back quickly spread.
I learned about the story from your story, so that's how I found out about it. But he was the perfect candidate for who we try to help.
Mike Cameron at Devil's River Whiskey partners with Wish for Our Heroes, a military organization aimed at helping veterans. Together, they invited Keith to a gala.
But I had no clue what was going on.
That's why they surprised him with a $5,000 check.
That's no chump change, so that's definitely a blessing. When I seen it, I had to look at the number again and make sure it was the right amount. But
wipe your eyes a little bit, make sure that you saw the zeros correctly.
Yeah, I was like, is this right? Like, is this a joker? But.
And that's not the only help Keith's received. Fellow barbers are also letting him borrow their mobile shops so he can continue his mission of giving those who need it haircuts.
After all this stuff happening, I just met new people, good people that I would never even met if this didn't happen. So I'm trying to take it as a blessing.
Well, Keith is still in the process of saving enough money for a new mobile barbershop, but as he said, the $5,000 is a good starting point. He'll also be giving free haircuts at New Baptist Church on October 18th. A barber by the name of Heaven will also be letting him use her mobile shop. It's 6:39 and 67 degrees. Up next, Texas is looking to expand in the state park department. How you can make your voice heard over the project and where the proposed park would be going.
Alrighty, you know the drill. It's going to be hot this week, but I am seeing a cool front on the horizon. It's a distant horizon, but it's there. I'll have those details coming up.
Well, a Texas nonprofit is celebrating 40 years of building and donating more than 30,000 wheelchair ramps for families in need across the state. Devin Karp went out to the east side to see that process in action and found out how big of a difference this makes.
When they came to do the measurements, oh my God, I was just in tears because they came and helped something that I couldn't do. And that's what I'm so appreciative with them. And right now, I'm so grateful.
90-year-old Pedro Garcia has been a wonderful father to 4 children. And ever since his cancer diagnosis, even getting out of the house is an uphill battle.
He would get from this step right here to try to get him down, to get into my car. And just that little bit, he was having trouble breathing. So even going into, I would have to get a wheelchair from the doctor's office to help him out.
But now, after reaching out to a local nonprofit, their luck is ramping up.
You have to meet certain standards with all this, but every ramp is different, right?
Right, every ramp's different based on the height, so.
The Texas Ramp Project brings volunteers like these from WellMed together to make home ramps for free. And this isn't even the only one they're building right now.
There's 3 other builds going on in Bexar County today. So we have about a dozen team leaders, and we're all volunteers. So we're going to build about 200 ramps this year with the workforce we have.
Wow. How is the ramp going to make y'all and his life easier?
A lot. I mean, we can now take him down the ramp. I can take him, just take him to the car, to my car, put him in there and put him out.
The Garcias want to pay it forward and volunteer to build more ramps for others in the future. Because for this family, mobility means freedom and the chance to act like a kid again.
He's already wanted to go to the beach. We haven't taken him to the beach. I don't even know when was the last time. So he goes, now can I go fishing? I mean, he wants to do little things like that.
Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Devin. If you want to volunteer with the Texas Ramp Project or know someone who needs accommodations, you can scan that QR code you see on your screen there. It's going to take you to our article on KSAT.com and will help get you in touch with that organization. All right, Sarah, it is 67 degrees outside, and I just wish it would stay 67 degrees outside all day.
We're going to be wishing for a while because this is a look at the forecast for the week. It is going to be hard to differentiate day to day. We're starting off in the 60s, and we'll be starting off in the 60s all week long, reaching a high temperature of near 90 degrees every single day. So the biggest takeaways are wake up early in the mornings and you'll be treated with some comfortable, cool weather. Sunrise is about 7:35, and that is the time of the day that is the coolest. But even in the afternoon, it will be warm, but it will be dry. We're not going to have major humidity in the afternoon, so low humidity. The problem with that low humidity is it also comes with no rain as well, so worsening drought is likely around San Antonio. All right, that's the next 5 days through Friday, but we're able to see for really the first time in a while good evidence that we could deal with a cold front around Sunday, October 19th. That front will be moving through. That being said, there's still some questions and still some things we're watching for. Timing, that front could speed up or it could slow down. The strength of that front is going to be determined eventually, but right now it's a little muddy. So it could be colder than is anticipated right now, or it could be a pretty weak front. And then finally, rain chances. We're going to be watching closely for the chance for rain. Right now it does look like we could see at least some rain Sunday and Monday of the following week. But again, all of these things are things that we have to watch, and it's still a while away. It's 7 days into the future for that potential front. So looking at the morning lows, you'll also feel that front in the morning. So this week, our morning lows are going to be right near 65 every single day. Here's October 19th, that potential front. By Monday of that week, October 20th, we could potentially be waking up in the 50s, which definitely is sweater weather in the mornings. And our average low this time of year is 62, so we'll be finally below average by that potential front on October 19th into October 20th. Right now, though, it is pretty mild. It's 67 in San Antonio, 65 in Seguin, upper 50s in Bernie, 59 in Hondo, 61 in Uvalde. We'll be looking at low humidity and a quick warm up under sunny skies. By about noon, it'll be 84. In the afternoon, 91 for the high with low humidity, southeast winds at about 10 miles per hour. A warm day for us, but I found some shade yesterday. It really didn't feel too bad in the shade because of that low humidity, even when it's going to be its hottest. It'll be 92 in New Braunfels, 92 in Uvalde, 93 in Del Rio, 94 in Laredo, and 88 in Kerrville. So while our weather is quiet here in San Antonio, that's because of a heat high, keeping things quiet. That heat high, though, is also funneling in Pacific moisture on the west side, along with this low pressure system from the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Raymond. That's why we've got some heavy rain falling in parts of El Paso right now, and even a flood watch in effect for parts of Arizona up into Denver and in Utah. Phoenix actually dealing with a flood warning in that area right now. So completely different scenario for the desert Southwest. Meanwhile, in the northern tier of the United States, the Northwest, in particular northern Idaho and parts of Montana, we've got winter advisories for snow. So a lot going on west of Texas and then east of Texas, all the way out closer to Florida and the Carolinas. This low pressure system is going to become a nor'easter. Now, if you're new to that term, nor'easter is in the northeast whenever the winds are coming from that direction. They're coming from the northeast, so it's a nor'easter, and it's capable of producing gusty winds, really, as a main threat. Take a look at the forecast wind gusts around this potential nor'easter. Washington, D.C. could see wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Just offshore of New York and New Jersey, about 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible. So gale force winds in those areas, all because of that intense low pressure system. So while a good portion of the nation is dealing with very intense weather, we are stuck with more of the same. Mornings in the 60s, afternoons near 90 degrees. There's that front. I've extended the forecast beyond the 7 days so you can see that front. Yes, highs will still be warm in the 80s, but that is quite a bit cooler than what we're dealing with now. And again, those mornings, we could potentially be in the 50s, and there is still some time to see if that front strengthens or not, bringing us even cooler weather. We will, of course, keep you posted.
I am really looking forward to that front, Sarah.
I know, right? Because it's just been so warm.
And we'll know more in a couple of days.
We will.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. 650, 67 degrees. Let's take a look outside with the roads, a trans guide. A little more traffic on the road. Sun's still working. There it is. Starting to come up. Beautiful sunrise. You don't maybe peek out your window, see what it looks like. Hey, but if we see any major backups or incidents or construction, we will let you know about it. We'll be right back. $54,000 acres. That's how much land the state of Texas wants to buy in the hill country for what could be the second largest state park. To give you an idea, this shows how much of that land is compared to the Kickapoo Caverns, which is 15 miles away. Our Christian Riley spoke with the man leading this campaign and explains how this is part of a larger plan to expand the park systems.
South Texas is growing rapidly, so it's no surprise that people are lacing up their shoes and getting out to local parks.
However, many are overcrowded.
According to our research, Texas ranks just 37th in the country for state park acreage per capita.
A 2001 study found Texas would need to add 1.4 million acres of parks by 2030 to keep up with demand.
Unfortunately, I hadn't been able to do that prior to getting this $1 billion.
Voters approved setting up a $1 billion trust fund for the Parks Department back in 2023. Using those funds, Parks and Wildlife has its sights set on what could be the second largest park in Texas, Silver Lake Ranch.
It's seriously one of the prettiest parts of the state I've ever been to.
Located in Kinney and Edwards County, the park would protect 54,000 acres of the hill country as it continues to grow and ensure a habitat for endangered species in the region like the golden-cheeked warbler. But Silver Lake Ranch is just the beginning.
They're just getting started. They have $50 million a year coming in.
The department is also looking to buy a 200-acre expansion to Lockhart State Park, and it's asking people for leads on future purchases.
I know they're eager to hear from the public on ideas for other potential parklands.
Christian Riley, KSAT 12 News.
The golden cheek warbler. My dad is a birder and loves to photograph them. Thank you, Christian. That was such a great piece. 655, 67 degrees. We'll be right back.
Zoo presented by PNC Bank is happening right now at San Antonio Zoo. And there's so many amazing things, from the new John and Grelly Les Spider Rainforest, new for 2025. Now I know that sounds kind of scary, but it's not. There are wonderful spiders inside in their own habitat. So it's such a unique opportunity to be able to be amongst the butterflies, floating all around you, beautiful photography opportunities, but then you also get to learn about spiders, and maybe you won't be as scared of them when you leave, but they're inside their own terrariums and habitats, and you're able to get up close and look at them. But you're protected because they are in their own habitat. The last hour of every day, we have free trick-or-treating. So you can wear your costume every day from now through Halloween. And on Halloween, we're gonna have special events happening all day long, and we'll have 2 hours of trick-or-treating.
Love that. And maybe you can find some AC too. That area is well shaded, and so here's the thing, even though it's going to be hot today, the humidity will be low. 65 in San Antonio, in the 50s right now in the hill country. This is the coolest we'll be all day. We're quickly going to warm by noon. 84, 91 for the forecast high in San Antonio. And then looking ahead, I've extended the forecast beyond the next 7 days, because the next 7 days are going to be pretty similar day after day. Mid-60s in the morning, afternoons near 90. But then take a look at that at the end of the forecast. There's the potential for a front next week as we start next Sunday on the 19th. So far we've got highs dipping into the 80s, but 70s is feasibly possible, so we'll keep you posted.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Don't go anywhere. Good Morning America is next. We'll be back here at 8 a.m.